I'm looking at Saddam to be that big daredevil Psylocke supremacy guy, and we'll see how it all shakes out as we get into our pick ban. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Lemon. Vision Esport versus RAD starts here and now in our pick bans, and we'll see whether the Elsa's going to be prioritized. With how good Zerx and Satam have been, I would anticipate that RAD do want to get rid of that Elsa as a point of priority.
Oh, yeah.
Zerx is a tricky customer with the Elsa in hand.
Yeah, you do know, like, I feel like that's become the main priority now. We used to see a lot more Gambit bans in week 1 and even yesterday. Now, Elsa off the table. You cannot allow that to go through, especially after watching how lethal they can be in some of the other regions. Having the Jeff online for RAD, I mean, we've seen the enabling from the Jeff play from the back line makes a lot of sense, and then maybe posturing towards, you know, either the Vanpool or the Venom with those team ups.
The Jeff protect this early is is an interesting kind of gauntlet thrown. It's like, okay, we've protected Jeff. Now you got to ban the Vanguard pool, of course, but like as we saw yesterday, that can be a little bit of a trick because there are other Deadpools which can offer that team up, as we saw from Alex playing the heal pool. And the Venom requires some attention. RAD are choosing their weapon. They're going to go for the one-sided Vanguard pool, which is not to be underestimated on domination because it's a great point anchor.
Really curious if we see the Loki ban coming out too against Vision. It makes a lot of sense. We saw how strong that has been in the past for this roster, and also potentially the Invisible Woman. Okay, maybe see some. We might have seen some team up action between the Doctor Strange and Invis. I mean, we've seen that from a lot of teams so far, but getting rid of the Daredevil as a priority for Vision, I like that on their side as well. So both pretty decent bans from these teams. They've had a great read of the meta so far.
Okay, looks like if they want it, RAD are going to be able to get away with a Venom Protect. But for Vision, it's all about that one-sided Daredevil turning up the tempo and having perfect information.
This also potentially forces out the Gambit ban if they don't want to play against it. So we'll see if RAD does use their last ban on that, which does allow a lot to go through for Vision Esports. So I think this ban and protect phase is going well for them, but it's very smart to get rid of the Venom. They know how to play against the Gambit, so they can only get rid of so many options for Vision Esports, and that's a good one.
Ooh, this might invite a counter Venom ban, though. But I agree, getting rid of a Venom when you know you're going up against a Daredevil will make things a little bit easier to see coming, because the loud stomping of Captain America's big democracy boots is certainly a little bit more audible than the drop-in of a Venom.
Could also see the Mantis ban come through here as well. That really enables the Loki, but instead they're going for the White Fox ban. I mean, we talked about that going earlier on, that White Fox has really been able to enable some of these heroes a lot more so than we've seen, especially being on the newer patch, right? With having all your tails available when you get out of your Kumiho Unleashed form, and also the team up that they have with the Luna Snow. So I kind of like this change up, but it does leave RAD with the best hand that they have been dealt in some time.
Wake up like day, just like Isidore. Time to clock into your 9 to 5 Glazing Hulk players. Lugia goes picking up the Bruce banner. But on the other side, I am somewhat excited to see Gainer have access to their full power hero pool. I think that Gainer is a fantastic both Vanguard, Deadpool, and particularly a Rogue. And we've already seen today how effective a Rogue with Team Up can be. And Brad seems to be leaving that one on the table to prioritize what Ducky and Lugia are personally best at.
They're just going balls to the wall. It's basically what it feels like in terms of this ban and protect phase, allowing them to be enabled on the dive, focusing on that a little bit. We also see Etsu subbed in this time as well. They are the official sub for RAD Esport, if I'm not mistaken, so nice to see them on the field.
Yeah, I wonder if Etsu is going to be playing this. I imagine they're going to swap over to a tertiary strategist, the Jeff. This could just be for bubble rollout and then over onto a duelist. The Mantis, of course. Yeah, Etsu is an aimer, formerly a big Winter Soldier player for OG.
Mantis going through when you have this sub in. Questionable decision from Vision Esport. Well, we'll see how it bodes for them. No cheeky portal plays to engage as well. Typically, we have seen one come out to try to get a kidnap and then engage onto the objective afterwards. But for now, Vision Esport, they're happy to position themselves and eventually go in for this first team fight.
Big expectations on Crazy Kitty right here. There's going to be so much Thanos power, and look at that penetration from Gainer. Just kicks through so many people, and what an alpha strike. Vision Esport just rocked everything.
This is what I'm talking about a little bit with the bait of the ban and protect phase that we saw. They allowed Gambit to have the entire hand available to him, the full deck that they are just throwing up into the air and forcing them to pick up against them.
Well, we are going to be seeing two pairs of Raging Royal Galactic Legends here. Raging Royal Legends, shall we say. which are going to be an interesting matchup in terms of how can they be supported or mitigated. RAD, on one hand, have a double strategist ultimate in both the Loki and the Mantis, being able to try and survive through that with a Soul Resurgence, as well as having access to the regeneration domains, which can completely no-sell an ultimate from Star-Lord, because you can't target the regeneration crystals with your auto aim. It will just automatically target the people underneath them. You rely on your team to be able to smash those crystals, and if you can get a good disengage on the side of RAD to a place where those crystals are very difficult to take down, the damage Zerx could do, even with that Raging Royal Flush behind him, would be absolutely completely negated. Meanwhile, for Vision, I'm a little bit concerned, but they don't have many means of mitigating that combo.
Yeah, I mean, Vision Esport, they felt really confident getting that first fight win, and kind of the walls of Ducky worked against them. It sectioned them off from the rest of their team and made it so it was a little bit easier for Gainer to get in to engage. But I think the big thing as well is with this team up, having it available to for Etsu, Mash, and Ducky, having the extra damage that can also come out from that regeneration domain. Maybe they're going to be trying to posture a little bit around that for kind of sustaining themselves in these fights, but also dealing enough damage to actually escape from these team fights against Vision Esport. I think the big question mark for me right now is, what are we going to see from Lugiago on this Hulk? Is this Monster Hulk form going to be enough to get them onto the point, get them positioned well enough so they can get the individual picks in this next team fight, or if they're going to save that a little bit for later, see if they can actually get an initial pick in the neutral here as well. But unfortunately, you know, they're taking their time, getting ready, powdering their noses for this one. It seems it might have been a little bit of a disconnect on their end, so we'll get them back in the lobby as much as we can. But I feel like Vision, it makes sense if there were connectivity issues, why the fight went the way it kind of did. So once everything's, you know, back hunky-dory, we'll see exactly how they face off against this RAD roster, because they both compositions, like, they have their strengths and weaknesses. It just comes down to who executes the best in this next team fight.
Yeah, just to be clear with you all, there is a pause in game. This isn't my contractually obligated screen time.
No,
yeah. So we're waiting for some network issues to flatten out so that everyone's in the best competitive shape possible. Of course, a lot of Vision's esports players are playing from the Middle East. So there could be some disruptions there. We are ready to head back to game. The voices in my ears say, not the voices in my head.
Thanks, Jarvis.
I stopped listening to them a while ago.
Oh, yeah. But getting back into it here, now that, you know, all the connection has been solved for RAD Esport, I think this is going to be a good look for them, depending on how this next engagement goes. It's all on Gainer.
Dude, Gainer is just that guy. Gainer is that guy on the rogue. Like, I've heard a lot of glaze for Veswa over in NA is the best rogue in the region. There's a lot of tough competition here in EMEA for the best rogue in the region, but Gainer's definitely in the conversation.
It's a tough spot for RAD, because as soon as two members went down, they kind of lost all of the wind in their sails in that team fight. And unfortunately for them, they had to have Lugiago swap off of the Hulk back onto the Rogue.
All right, once again getting involved. Lugiago seeing exactly how much power can be seen here, and Ducky is up rather close and personal to the White Fox, and even in the Fox form, you cannot stand up to Ducky in their diamonds. You can see if there's still a green available. I think that might have been stolen away by Gainer from Mash. Could be useful later, but I think that it has expired for the moment. Lugiago might find themselves outnumbered on the point, but has all the power they need to try and claim it on back. A last-second contest from Bader's all that Vision Esport have. They'll walk away with 6-7%.
And this is what we were talking about at the start of this matchup, is that having a strong Vanguard line is what keeps you sustained in these team fights. And I love the swaps from Ducky and Lugiago. Ducky going into the Emma, making sure that they can target them and stay alive a little bit more when they're getting dove by the Rogue, and also just put the pressure on the other team.
Etsu just sitting happily and carefully inside of these places, but this does mean that they're not going to be available for Zerx's ultimate when it comes on up. And Ducky has been able to ward them away there with the potential Sonic Seduction. It's time to move forward now. Mash rolls in with their own Soul Resurgence stolen away from their ally. The Kumiho Unleashed to try and survive the onslaught that's coming forth, but 900 HP does not last that long, and RAD can stand strong on these corners using the geometry to their advantage.
Not having to use many of their ultimates either really positions them well for this next team fight. Yes, so much percentage at the start was taken, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, taken to the sky now. It's Satam trying to shut them all down with the Devil Unleashed. Crazy Kitty up above it all, looking for any exposed players. It's only Gainer who's in their sight. It's a big health pool, but the damage is just as strong, and Zerx is going to try and turn it around in their own right. It's an okay angle, but everyone could just take cover elsewhere. Rex finds Crazy Kitty taking cover, and you know what? You can't be exposed to every angle at once. Zerx now moving over onto a point. It's time for Vision Esports to look inwards towards the mission area. Vertigo needs a little bit of healing, and it's easily given over by Etsu on the Mantis over health as well. Cube is going to find it hard to escape from this one. Bayou bashed down into only a morsel of molecules that remain, and while Mash is going to be the primary target on the other side, it seems like Vision Esports are going to have trouble converting on this one. Mind you, Satan making it happen on the Daredevil. He's just an absolute monster when he's going after these strategists. The healing has been completely nullified, and this should be an opening now for Vision to flip the point.
That was a roller coaster of a team fight. First, Vision kind of wasted a lot of their ultimates. RAD looked really solid, and then unfortunately fell apart at the seams after Saddam just popped off.
All right.
I'm going to see how Vision are able to do on this next team fight, though. They got the percentage back here, leg day. That's a big problem for RAD Esports. They didn't get the 99% that they were hoping for to force the OT scenario. This gives a lot of breathing room for Vision to get it even closer than it was before. They seem to not really have the best strategy in terms of timing their ultimates, but now it comes down to these neutral fights.
Oh, a great pick early, and it forced out the green Zero touch late, though. You can't allow the point to be taken away from you. Not 97%. Can Vision Esports get there? No. RAD have stolen it out from under them. Can they touch in time? Overtime is going to be triggered here, but with RAD in control, they have advantage over the positioning. Lugia Goat ready to go with a Heartbreaker, but it's taken down too early. The tracking's good from Zerx, and I don't know if they can get back in time. Etsu has the portal. We'll be able to debark directly onto a point and keep this one contested for just a moment longer, but those respawns are going to take so long in overtime. Up to 12 seconds now, and as they exit, instantly antied. Zerx waiting on the backhand side. Do they have to use the Raging Royal Flush? It seems they're going all in for this one. Vision Esports dump the bank, and they claim their just rewards. RAD, once again, are having trouble on domination.
It's such a tough spot to find themselves in. Both these teams are currently 2-1 in terms of domination maps, and well, we kind of know which team Vision struggled against the most before this matchup, but they have come out with the playbook, and shout out to Lemon on the back end giving us the stat. This is the first time in any region, including Asia and America, that Gambit has not been either banned or protected, and this seemed to be the strategy that Vision was going for. Bait out a different comp mindset that RAD would go for, saying, hey, we don't have to worry about the Gambit. Maybe they haven't looked as good on it. We have counters against it and feel pretty confident on it ourselves. And you just give them everything that they want. You give them the Galactic Legend with the Starlord. You give them the Rogue with the Heartbreaker, disrupting your ult charges and making it so that you aren't able to have them in time for these team fights, especially with the way that Gainer's just been engaging on those individual battles. The first time we see Gainer go in and get a double, we really haven't seen many answers from RAD, and that's been the problem, is that once a single piece of the card stack goes down from RAD, it all comes and crumbles apart.
Yeah, early picks from Satam have been, like, super impactful as well. We've seen Etsu caught out a couple of times, Mash unable to get the greens at the right moment, thinking, you know what, Etsu can live this, being quite wrong in that. But this time rolling out with the Rogue might be a little bit more easy to shut down Gainer's initial engagement. Zerg's going to be a little bit less easy to deal with, though. Has to deal with these greens. Oh my goodness, the cleave is off the charts right now. Wow, the damage.
Galactic Legend, Kumiho Unleashed, and everything is dumped into the first team fight. I'm loving the way that the prioritization is coming out from Vision Esports on when to pick their battles. We saw some struggles from them, of course, in the last map, but they have turned those around here, and this is exactly the positioning that they want to take. If they get one map against RAD, that's all they need to qualify for the finals. Even with tiebreakers, they can't be eliminated.
Raging Royal Legend. Zerx needs to try and escape, but there's nowhere to go. They're just stuck in the lane inside of a green. Zetsu's feeling nice and calm, safe as anything. Rad, just as quickly as they were taken away. This is likely going to be flipped in their favor. A brand new green goes down. Regeneration Domain makes them basically immune to all of this. And what a perfect way to try and keep Bada from contesting. An absolutely pixel-perfect body block from Lugia. That's why he's the GOAT.
This is what we need to see from RAD Esport. The focusing from the entire team on which members are really popping off the most for Visit Esport. We saw Saddam go down a little bit towards the end, but QB and Rex really have been enabling them from the back line. Not having the White Fox and not having to worry about the stuns from the Charm is a massive thing off the table. And we've seen them be interrupted a couple times when they've been trying to go in, especially with RAD with their ultimate. So they have a lot on the table here. We'll see how they do with it.
Time to break some hearts. Going after the husband first. That's how it always works out. And, well, he's not standing up to his wife's attention. Rex falls down. Satam 2. This one should just be called for vision. They don't want to use anything here.
Good looks so far from RAD, not having to waste too many of their resources to keep the percentage climbing for them. Vision Esport, a couple of things will be online in mere moments, but they are looking for that Raging Royal Flush with the Galactic Legend combo. They also have the Devil that can be unleashed at a moment's notice towards the backline. So kind of keep an eye on how Mash and Etsu stay alive in this next one.
All right, Soul Resurgence copied here instead of a Raging Royal Flush. Going to be answering Vision Esports. Big engagement here. And it seems like the target focus isn't quite as powerful as it was before. Look how much HP Crazy Kitty has. Bada comes in with the skill issue. I think it may well have been on to Mash and instantly eviscerated. And we call that one the Big Bada Boom. But a big boom from Crazy Kitty as well. From the top, the damage just rolls on in. Even with the Kumiho Unleashed, it's difficult to try and survive. Still, Satam feels it out. Goes after Ducky, unafraid of the diamond form. Because you know what's harder than diamonds? Justice, Moddable.
The consistency that we're seeing from this roster of Vision Esports cannot be understated, but now RAD Esport, they did have the portal come through. We'll see if it's enough for them to potentially flip things.
Oh, Zerx has got perfect cover here from the Ducky ultimate. It's a great way to try and keep that one contained, though. Satam coming in from the other side. Devil Unleashed heading in towards Loki. Mash can't do anything against this one. Oh, and as you try to escape through the portal, it closes in your face. Still, this gave RAD the time on point to 99%.
That's what they were missing in the last sub-map. They could not get all the way to the 99%. They were like 2 or 3 off of it, and now we see it Vision Esport trying to change the pace of the game, but they had to use so many of their ultimates, so many chances that we saw from RAD to be shut down by Vision Esport, but the portal really was the play. The only unfortunate thing about that is they're not really going to have one up depending on how long the hold comes out from Vision on this next team fight. Etsu with the Soul Resurgence, really excited to see when they're going to be timing that. The Heartbreaker almost online for Lugia Goat as well.
Has to pop it in advancing, the Heartbreaker coming. Doesn't want to see any of that stolen away. Ducky going to change up the tempo now. Everyone to the group really wants Rex. And the extending wood arms get it done. That's going to be a huge amount of healing that's now missing because QB is sure to fall next. And this has got to be RAD being able to flip this one. It would be an absolutely crazy flip if somehow RAD didn't manage to take it. But with no healing, Rex has already swapped over onto the Doctor Strange. A portal will be forthcoming. Someone else is going to have to swap over onto another strategist, surely. It's not going to be Gainer, though. There's not going to be enough heals here. Has to be Bada coming out once again with a skill issue. That's going to be the Luna bot out from Zerx now. Utilizing the accuracy, Satam in the back, all over Mash, who now has themselves a God of Mischief. Doesn't end up using it. It's a desperate risk, but I think it's going to pay off for RAD here as Vertigo is still alive and kicking, and Crazy Kitty's tracking is just as strong as ever. A moment off the point means that Vision are ousted. RAD even us up.
Perfect usages of the Galactic Legends, but also the Strategist Ultimates that we saw from RAD in those team fights. It really broke down Vision Esport because they did not have a way to do enough damage through them. And I mean, that's why you see the triple strategists do so well. But I've loved the adaptability also from RAD. I mean, changing from Ducky from the EMEA to the Groot. I feel like the Groot was able to just provide them just enough cover in those last team fights to keep them on the objective and make it so that they can focus in on whoever gets boxed out by Ducky on the Groot. So great looks from RAD. Vision gave it their all. Unfortunately, it didn't work as well as it did last time. I worry for them in this next one because this definitely favors the composition of RAD a bit more of the sub-map.
Yeah, big credit to Mash there. The iron will to not use your God of Mischief when in that final fight you are under so much pressure, just decides to fall with it, and now it means they can have a Raging Royal Legend to start off here. And playing from a controlling position is so important.
especially as the maps go through. It seems like the state of the game started in Vision's favor very heavily, has slowly moved and shifted in favor of RAD, and now they are ready to take the cake in this final sub-map on Celestial Hand.
Raging Royal Flush rolling on forward. The disengage comes through from Vision Esport, and you know what? That means that Crazy Kitty hasn't had to invest their ultimate just yet. Oh, that's a lot of antis there. Vertigo is making use of the deck. It's stacked in their favor, and Vertigo is not shy about letting anybody know it. The house always wins.
Only having to use a single ultimate in that fight. This is the difference between the best teams and good teams, is knowing exactly which resources to use at the right moments. And that was the struggle from RAD in the first submap, but now they have changed the game, locked in, and are loaded for a potential victory speech after this one if it continues this way.
Get another Raging Royal Flush. Rex still working up towards this one, asking the team to catch some poke just to get that additional charge. Gotta watch out for the for the greens here. There it is. Regeneration Domain, I believe, has already been used by Mash to rebuff his first set of aggression from Vision, and that might be an opening for Zerx and Rex as they move forward. But you can tell that Vertigo is ready to come in their own right towards the back. Crazy Kitty going to be buffed on up. In comes an It's Jeff of all things. Nice dodge there from Crazy Kitty. The perfect right click, the perfect iframe, and then escapes instantly to do more damage. And while Rex may have got a momentary reprieve, it is going to be RAD walking away.
Having the one-sided Loki with the Gambit cannot be understated. I get the reasoning for the ban on the White Fox, but it felt like maybe there's some other priorities that they could have done against RAD going into this map, and now all of the work that had been put in seems to be crumbling around them.
Like, getting Mantis Loki team up as well as double Raging Royal Flush is kind of crazy. The greens need to come on up. They need to be broken by Satam here. In comes the Strangling Prison. I'm not sure if Ducky actually managed to grab anyone with that, as Satam is forced to disengage. Doesn't want to fight into that Soul Resurgence. And it seems like Vision Esport, they haven't been able to get enough of their combo here. Finally letting the Devil out. Satam needs a huge amount of healing in towards the back, but it's just Righteous Cross after Righteous Cross. And his cause is indeed righteous. It is going to be Lugiago fighting alone on the point, but RAD have already got 91%.
Completely different game than we saw in the first two sub-maps. Every time it was the first objective, first percentage taken by Vision Esport. Now they're having to play catch up, and it just goes to show the lethality of having two potential either Soul Resurgences or Raging Royal Flushes for RAD, but also how good Crazy Kitty has been popping off on the Star-Lord.
All right, Regeneration Domain used. A quick stun there onto Satam means the follow-up is easy with the Gambit team up as well. And now without those angles covered by the Daredevil, guess who's exposed? Rex gets one clip by Crazy Kitty. Extra damage from that Raging Royal Flush is everything. And Mobada may have the accuracy to take down Vertigo in a momentary iframe as well off the back of the selfie. That only gives time for the walls to be set up around them. In comes Jeff. Ducky, impossible to control right now due to the CC immunity given over by the Ironwood wall. And Lugia has access to all of the ult charge courtesy of the Heartbreaker. Satam gonna buy a little bit of a space here. Has teleported everybody back, so there will be one last stand here from Vision, and Gainer and back has managed to find Mash coming close to Vertigo as well. Gainer's getting it all done by themselves. The Vanguard in the back is going absolutely bonkers, and this might be an opening that Vision Esports desperately needed.
Massive stagger onto the front line of RAD, but the big thing is they do have Strangling Prison available to them, and also Galactic Legend about to be online. Unfortunately, they don't have any of the combos that they can go for, but that might be enough. If they can take out Rex first before they can use the Raging Royal Flush, that could be the win con for RAD to close things out before we even get to an overtime scenario. Vision Esport, they're keeping an eye on that, though, so we'll see if the Raging Royal Flush comes out post-haste.
Oh, trying to go first. Battle's taking a huge amount of damage. Forced out the greens. This is the opening here for Zerx. If only they want to use it. Crazy Kitty going to move on forward. Raging Royal Legend cuts through the Jeff in record time. Satam's already down. And you know, you just got to flee away if you happen to be that Star-Lord. Crazy Kitty got a couple more moments here dealing with the Deadpool. Solo tanking into all of this. Wade Banish is trying to take them all on by themselves. Grabbed into place by Ducky. They became momentarily immune thanks to the selfie. Unbelievable gameplay from the Vanguard Deadpool here. And they've weathered the storm against many of RAD's ultimates. They only need one more fight to make this one work, and Lugia goes trying to roll forward. They think that it's winnable. Etsu might well agree if they pop in the Soul Resurgence here as well. They just need their respawns to come on back. A big stun onto Ducky, but it's not the easiest fella to try and follow up onto. A quick steal, a quick execution as well. Gainers grab Crazy Kitty, and now RAD are going to be low on that damage. Mash coming close to yet another Raging Royal Flush to be stolen away from from their compatriot and uses the regeneration domain as well, as there's a momentary lull in the fighting. Satan brings up the shield for a quick breather. Gainer's fallen low as well. Rex needs to get on top of all of this. QB almost has themselves the ultimate. Crazy Kitty coming in from the other side. A teleportation back. Can you keep your eyes on QB here? The damage has already been done, and it seems like QB gets nothing but the business end of Gambit's cards, despite it being hard for RAD, have fought to the end, and it will be a map claimed for RAD.
Unfortunate for Vision Esport. They had the tea leaves read, it felt like, in terms of baiting out not a single ban for Gambit, Rogue, or even the Starlord. But the problem was they did the same thing to the team who's arguably stronger than they are at this composition, and you can see exactly why. They gave them the Loki, they gave them the Mantis, they gave them the Groot, they gave them everything that they wanted to RAD Esports, and Lugiago also had a pretty good time once they realized, oh, I can also play Rogue, because you did not ban this for me as well. We saw an interesting ban phase that led to this as well, but I think the big thing just goes to show RAD are that team. Maybe the first, maybe the second team, depending on some people's opinions, but they are one of the top squads for a reason in EMEA. And this just goes to show, even after adversity, no matter what you throw at them, they're just going to get right back up and say, I could do this all day.
I mean, like, I look at this, and unfortunately, the main thing I see is just a critical error in the bans. Like, how are you going to allow a team to have Mantis, Loki, and Gambit all at once? That's what we might call a historical fumble, to be honest. Yeah, White Fox is very difficult to deal with if you are a Daredevil, but you know what's harder to deal with? 2 Raging Royal Flushes and buffed up Regeneration Domain with a wider radius and damage boost attached to it.
Oh, it's tough because, like, we didn't even see any of the Mantis from the side of Vision. It wasn't banned against them. Like, we could have seen them play it, but it just feels like that's been the difference between some of these top squads in EMEA specifically, is like, who's got the better Mantis, who even has a Mantis player, because the damage boost difference when you're going for those one-on-ones makes so much more sense in the neutral compared to focusing on the ultimates, and that seemed to be more of a strategy for Vision Esport, kind of similar to what we saw last series with Pep. So maybe stuck in the last patch a little bit there, who knows, but a valiant effort, I would say. They changed it up a little bit. First time we didn't see Gambit banned or protected, and I think RAD going through the motions of this ban and protect phase, like they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna feel fine because we have everything to win.
No, I think Ryan sent us that stab. That's the first time in any of Ignite 2026 that Gambit just hasn't been involved in the bans at all. Like, no protects, no bans, bro, just slipped through on both sides. It beggars belief, honestly. But I feel like Gainer might be getting a little bit of that rogue ban respect coming through.
Oh, yeah.
Walked away with 10 final blows, most damage in the lobby, actually. More than Crazy Kitty, who was playing the Raging Royal Legend, which is nothing to shake a stick at.
No, I mean, Gainer cannot be understated on the Rogue, and I feel like that's part of the reason why they built this ban and protect phase around them, and we're hoping that would be enough. We saw some great engagements from them. I get the reasoning behind banning the Daredevil as well, but unfortunately, it's not exactly what they were hoping with that one. But like we still have another map potentially for Vision Esport. Again, if they can secure that, they will make the playoffs. We'll find out after this break.
Clear the way! Feel the pull! Disappear!
Wow, that was such a close Celestial Husk ending in Rad's favor, but I want to get deeper into the discussion that you guys began with the picks and the bans, because Rad were looking like the Avengers out there with the assembly of team-ups, like, yeah, Loki, Mantis, Groot, Gambit, and Rogue. It felt like Rad won the map just off the pick and bans.
That tends to happen more often than not, it feels like, especially in this preseason. Teams are testing compositions, right? Stage 1 still ahead of them, and they're already going to have a completely new meta depending on how those 2 new heroes will look at that time. So maybe this is them just like figuring out, okay, can we play this composition against Rad? No? Okay, we go next into the next map. I'm hoping that was their idea, because I feel like the biggest blunder was not banning the Mantis. We saw how effective Rad was, having the Mantis, having it being able to enable, as you were talking about leg day at the end of it, the regeneration domains, the damage boost that we saw, the extra healing and damage reduction for the extra Groot wall. I mean, you gave Rad everything that they wanted and then some, and they took it all because they were not going to let Risen Esport have anything after that.
Yeah, like, it feels like Mantis is like the glue, the condiments to the meal. She kind of just ties everything together, and the pick and bans went one way. But speaking of the Loki that I blundered, I mean, there's a big difference between Zerx and Crazy Kitty on the Star-Lords when one has to face a Loki and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, like, Loki not only absorbs a bunch of fire during, like, the Galactic Legend because all of the clones are targetable, but also Regeneration Domain makes it impossible to do damage to anyone who's within them. We saw Saturn doing a great job of trying to break those crystals, but it's still uptime that you're missing, and this is going to be the map pick for Vision.
Yeah, you talk about uptime. There wasn't a lot of that from Vision yesterday when they picked it against Virtus Pro. What? I'm doing my job. Yeah, but
She's out of line, but she's right.
That was a great line. But they've also picked this in the past, not just against Virtus Pro, but this is a comfort pick for Vision. But no one's comfortable against Virtus Pro, okay? Give them a chance. And I think, VOD, this is a good chance for Vision. Yeah,
I mean, last time, kind of looking back into what we saw from them banning against Virtus Pro, which, again, completely different team than Rad, but very similar because it's hard to ban against them. They banned the Loki second. I feel like if Vision does that, they'll be looking so much better. So who knows if that's going to be their priority. They also focused on securing the Gambit and the Daredevil, so we might see more of that action from them as well. But Virtus Pro actually prioritized having the Van Pool available to them and played some compositions around it, because we saw Nevix on the Venom, Dredro on the Jeff, and then of course Saipe was actually just falling out as we saw on the White Fox. So maybe the White Fox ban from the first map was just PTSD that they had from yesterday against Virtus Pro.
Like our favorite British meal, the Smash and Mash, but one of those important components has been missing. Smash has not been playing that, was not playing that map one for anyone who failed at the Where's Waldo. Etsu taking their place, but looking at the lobby, Smash is back in for Etsu. And Rod still won, despite not having their quote carry in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, Smashers being out certainly did surprise me. I know Etsu's a fantastically talented player, was probably the second best Bucky in the world during the Invitational last year, only losing out to Sparker when was playing for OG. But Smashnez, I think, has a good chance of utilizing his hero pool a bit better here on Shin Shibuya, being able to work around rooftops. It's great for things like the Human Torch, great for Namor as well. And this might be an indicator that perhaps Rad either want to like pivot away from a tertiary strategist, or maybe they want to go towards an Ultron, which is really good for both Crazy Kitty and Smashnez, and keep like a carry DPS in the lineup.
Yeah, Vaughn, you can't have Crazy Kitty doing everything on that side, and Etsu like a wolf in sheep's clothing, being a duelist on the Mantis, like a Naga type of character or anybody else. But exciting to see Smash back in. I wonder if they got something special planned for his hero pool, like Leg Day said, for a Shin Shibuya coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Smashnez specifically on the Phoenix, so maybe from like the high angles of that first point, they're going to be focusing a little bit more on poke specifically for Shin Shibuya. So I kind of like the change up there. There's a lot of different options that they can go for. I think another thing too is that they're probably not expecting to get the Mantis and Loki again, or even the Gambit through like they did last time, especially after how that is the reason that they were able to come out on top in that first map. So hopefully for Vision's sake that they have a better strategy and some counters. And for the other side of RAD Esport, they just had to watch the tape and see, oh, this comp worked well against them. If they haven't practiced it well enough in 24 hours, well, we're going to just run that.
And Vod, like a quick little rules reminder, because you're the rules guy, about when you get to pick sides versus the amount of bans that you get to kick off with. What is that advantage?
So the main thing here, since RAD, they didn't get to pick the map, but they did get to pick the side, they'll be able to ban twice in a row. And I think that's good for them because they'll be able to focus a little bit more on that hero pool for Vision. On the other side of things, though, before that second ban comes out from RAD, Vision will get a save. So maybe they'll have a strategy built around who they're going to prioritize here. I mean, last map, as we were talking about, that we saw from the side of Vision, they focused a little bit more on the Van pool for them to lock in and then the Daredevil. So I don't know necessarily if we're going to see the exact same strategy here, but there's a couple of different things that they can opt for.
I know, and like to try and target someone like Zergs, who I think really has to save the day. You know, we don't even have to think too much more because the pick and ban is ready. So boys, take it away.
All right, I'm excited, Voldemort, to see if Vision cop any respect bans here. We saw excellent Vanguard Deadpool play from Bada. It felt like Gainer was doing amazing on the Rogue, and Satan looking very good on the Daredevil. That was closer than it had any right to be, considering how much of a better comp RAD had.
Yeah, so a couple of different options that they can go for on this one. I mean, they could go similar to what we saw in Shin Shibuya from Vision Esport with the prioritization of the different heroes that they have option-wise. But of course, the Elsa is going to be the first ban across the board. That just seems to be the standard at this point between these teams, because they know if one team has a really good duelist, then we do not want to play against an Elsa. And of course, Vision are going to be locking in the Gambit. That's their win con. Find some way to get Gainer on the Rogue and have the Gambit work out, and then maybe do a little bit better on banning a counter against RAD this time.
Okay, RAD know where their priorities lie. Do not want to see double Raging Royal Flush. I'm hoping if Gambit once again takes to the stage for RAD that maybe Vision will respect that and be like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good idea. And there's the Gambit Protect. So now for Vision, it's a Loki ban. It's a Loki ban.
It has to be. Please. Please be the Loki ban. Save our sanity here. Do not give them the double Raging Royal Flush. You could do Loki, then you could do, you know, DD if you really want, but you also getting rid of the Rogue. We saw how good one-sided that was from Shikigami versus Peps. But yes, finally, the Loki is off the table. We don't have to worry about hearing Raging Royal Flush multiple times.
All right, question is now, how are we going to look towards the Mantis? I would not be surprised to see Gainer get the respect ban on the Rogue here, given that he was doing so much previously. That does, like, I think that the strongest look for Vision is with Gainer and Bada, both on their Vanguard picks of the Vanguard Deadpool and the Rogue. And the Rogue's just going to be taken off the table wholesale. Just so strong with the Gambit team up.
If I can't have it, you can't have it as well, is basically the mentality for Vision Esport. Makes me curious on what Gainer is going to reposition onto hero-wise. But we'll see once we get into the games. Don't have to wait too much longer for that. Protect, though, this is the main difference maker from the last map. There's the Daredevil I was talking about. I'm surprised, honestly, that we didn't see an earlier Daredevil ban instead of the Rogue, but maybe they would have prioritized the Rogue Protect, so it makes sense.
Mantis and Star-Lord, I think. Oh, okay.
Smart.
A one-sided Vanpool. The one-sided Vanpool is actually really good against Gambit in particular, because if you save skill issue for when he uses Raging Royal Flush, any of his cards that miss out of a 3 he throws out whenever he uses his primary fire count as a miss, which means you can actually just either decimate the Gambit or force him to hide away and not take part in that fight.
Well, they're actually going to be locking in the Daredevil instead, so that definitely means we're going to be seeing a ban in terms of the Van pool from RAD. They don't want it to be one-sided if they can't allow it to be. But there's also a couple of other options that they could go for as well. One thing that's kind of snuck through here, Mantis, we didn't really see Vision Esport play it. We might see a Venom ban too. We've seen a lot of that. But yeah, you're going to go with the old faithful Vanguard pool off the table for everyone.
Okay, so we're likely going to be seeing some Star-Lords come up here. Zerk's already locked that in. Satam, I'm definitely going to have my eyes on here. Now that they're not going to have to deal with as many Loki clones in the back, Satam walked away with fantastic stats from our previous game. Had the most final blows on Vision, and RAD are going to have to be very fastidious in trying to shut it down. And that's why you may see Vertigo pick up this White Fox. Obviously, this was a ban to enable Satam previously. That was the last ban that Vision Esports had that we were like, I don't know if that one's as good as, like, getting rid of a Gambit. but it's a great counter to a Daredevil.
And speaking of that too, the Spectral Surge that we see from Vertigo using this White Fox is going to be instrumental, I feel like, to shutting down a lot of the dive potential and the ultimates even from Vision Esport. I mean, we've seen it used so well against the Star-Lord players before. I'm really curious if Vader's going to be sticking with the Spider-Man.
I think Lugia is
interesting.
opening a silly portal, if I heard correctly.
Oh, yeah. That is what it sounds like at this point. So maybe trying to have them fall off the map or at least delay them in some way. Trying to see which side that they're going to be going through on this one. Getting some extra vision, too, from Crazy Kitty so they might be able to see exactly which route they go for.
Okay. We have the information. Let me see it. Oh,
Counter
okay.
portal.
Yep, here we go. Getting it into the exact right position. How's your reaction speed, Lugia? He's going for it. He's ready.
Yes!
Oh, a double! May God have mercy on your souls.
And there's the Venom in the 2-2 that we were waiting for. I'm honestly not too surprised we didn't see a Venom prioritization in the bans because of how, as you mentioned, effective we have seen that Van pool before.
Oh, huge. Wait, did they commit to this dive? I mean, I guess with Satam and Gainer, like, being able to just go through afterwards, they still commit to that one, but, oh, man, what an alpha strike from Lugia.
Okay, I mean, I just did not expect Vision to just sit there and be like, oh, we've just been eliminated. Let's go back to the spawn room after that team fight and say, GG, go next.
They just waited for the respawns and came through the backside of a portal. Bit of a swap around here. Batter on to the Angela. Very divey indeed. As you can see already, Lugia has come in and used their symbiotic crunch. However, it's Kitty who's getting crunched on the other side. Big Devil's Chain grabs in Lugia Go. The chase is good, but I think there's going to be plenty of healing here to try and keep them up. This is a big isolation mode. Ducky's finding himself alone. Needs the rest of the team to come on in. And look at that. They use all of their speed to help out their Magneto and get the crunch from the back.
A tough spot to be in for Vision Esport, but it seems there are some connection issues going on for some of the players. That's why you see our lovely faces. We're not here to interrupt the action too much. We're just giving you a brief pause while the players can get sorted into the lobby. And that makes a little bit more sense based on what we saw from Vision Esport, right? In that first team fight, maybe some connection issues were happening during it. The portal shenanigans were just too much for them to handle, and now they have to just take some time, reboot things maybe, and get back engaged in the game here at Leg Day. But again, you know, first engagements that we saw, getting those initial picks was huge. It was, you know, relatively short-lived, but it didn't allow them to position and know exactly where they could expect the dive to work out so well in that first team fight.
I mean, it was just a pixel-perfect dive. Like, Lugia from the other side of a map essentially hit that frenzy arrival. I assume what Vision did was they just positioned themselves, like, to go around the back half of the portal where they weren't going to be falling into the great abyss. And they were just waiting for Satam to respawn alongside Gainer. The problem is, like, when you've got your Daredevil and your Captain America on the same angle as the rest of your team, you aren't really presenting, like, an off-angle threat with the dive that you would like to. And it made it very easy for RAD to essentially just go, okay, we're gonna smash into you as 6 people here because we're fairly confident we can win that fight with the White Fox that we have ready to go and the huge frenzied arrival. And it's been reflected in Lugia Goat's ult charge. I know you can't see it at the moment, but currently Lugia Goat has access to the Feast of the Abyss, whereas Gainer on the other side, who's had a lot more trouble getting these dives going, as well as having to swap over from the Doctor Strange, is only 59% of the way there.
A lot better of a start for this positioning defensively for RAD Esport in comparison to how we see for Vision, because they've had to spend so much time in the respawn. Rex getting close, though, to having their Raging Royal Flush. Potentially, depending on how RAD Esport positions themselves for this next team fight, might be able to go toe-to-toe. If they can build it up fast enough is the big thing, because MASH very likely going to be using it if they need to, even. As you mentioned, Feast of the Abyss online for Lugia Goat. That could be just the only thing that they really need, and already getting those 2 eliminations on to the Angela and to the Star-Lord just makes it so there's just so much less potential of just poking people away from the rest of your team, right? So Vision Esport, they have their work cut out for them whenever they get back into the lobby for this next team fight. It seems like we'll be getting in it momentarily. Sorry to, you know, interrupt your viewing experience here for too long, but we got to make sure these players are all hunky-dory for these matchups. So we'll be getting back into Shin Shibuya in mere moments, and Vision Esport, all eyes on them to see how they can not have a repeat performance on their counterpick.
Okay, let's get stuck in once more. Rex falls down to Ducky, and Smashnez going to be equally poorly served. Rad, like, Vision Esport, like, I'm wondering when does it stop being their map pick?
Now.
Right after this match.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, we saw similar things for Peps with Museum of Contemplation. They went to it twice and it didn't work out for them, and now we kind of see a similar story for Vision. Unless they're able to get like some percentage, but they got full held last time and it's leading towards that way again.
Gambit never falls, using the cleanse off the back of that Raging Royal Flush to try and make something happen. Smashless has so much damage to try and part with, though. That is having their shield absolutely eviscerated, and the damage is done elsewhere. Despite an equal exchange of Gambit ultimates, Rad take that one 6-0, I think.
That they do, and again, not really having to use too many of their resources, and they have all that they really need to keep themselves into this next fight. I mean, having the Kumiho Unleashed form, they know that it's going to be available for Vision Esports soon, so you'll be seeing two Foxes tap dancing on point in mere moments.
All right, already unleashing the Devil is going to be a big engagement here from Crazy Kitty, but might be overextending a touch considering where the remainder of the team are. Forced to move away, but Bandit just falls down to the aura damage that Crazy Kitty was showing thus far. And now down one tank, Vision Esport are going to find it a little bit more difficult to claim the space. They've got to use the Kumaho to do it. Oh, that's a huge Feast of the Abyss coming through, though, from Gainer. And now Vertigo has to try and escape the arcade. Everyone's going up high, but Zerx is too short. Can't get onto the jump pad in time, and so gets stomped down by the Tantrum. The very mad pounding of a nine-tailed fox. Smashnez is playing a much more reserved position. Doesn't want to get themselves into a huge amount of danger. Big engage coming through from Banner, but Mash already been TP'd back. It's good healing to come through from a Gambit in the back half of this fight. He can take it to the high ground as well. Needs to try and avoid Satam, who has been an absolute monster in the series thus far. And it seems that Vision Esports have finally seen the vision and should be able to make something work here. But Ducky's coming back. Meteor M takes to the sky, takes out Gainer. That's an opening now, though, for Zerx. Knowing that all of this cannot be eaten up, you've got to worry about the shields. There's so much to keep this mitigated, even without the Meteor and the Spirit Sanctuary as well. And Smashness is almost back with the Raging Royal Flush. They're going to be able to generate even more here. And Vision Esports, with 4 seconds remaining, is feeling like their map pick is not really in their favor.
Oh, so close to greatness and getting that first capture point. Saddam trying to stay alive on the back line as best they could, but unfortunately for them, they did not get the Daredevil ban. No one-sided affair for them. The only one-sidedness was how that defensive stance was from RAD. 91.83% Vision Esport, they have their work cut out for them, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to get an engagement off the rip like we saw from RAD with the portal play into the dive from the Venom for the Frenzied Arrival, and then just the domination from then on out. The Raging Royal Flush is just too good here, and really just goes to show Vision Esport, unfortunately, because they're prioritizing the Elsa, it's really enabling RAD with this composition, rallying around those Raging Royal Flushes.
Yeah, they're getting a huge amount of value off these. Rex was forced to use one reactively to cleanse the anti-healing debuff inflicted by the initial engagement that we saw Lukiago bring in with that Feast of the Abyss. So having to play that reactively is never ideal.
Wait a minute. Are we seeing this?
30 seconds before
I mean, it's not too out of character, to be honest, to have Smashnez over here on what I'd say is probably his favorite character, or at least historically his most played.
I feel like this is just an ego boost for them. They feel very confident. They're like, okay, maybe we'll go for it. But no, they're just going back to the old faithful, the Galactic Legend coming out from Smashnez. If they can build it fast enough and win this first team fight, it might just be enough to snowball into a full point capture. And we've seen teams struggle to do that, but I feel like Vision Esport, they had potential like we saw on Domination, but they're just going for the straight portal play. I'm curious where they're going to position this one. And actually, that's smart, putting it aside from them so they can't get counter portals.
Yeah, just saying, if one appears in front of me, it's a fake. They're just going to play for the high ground here, flip the map around. It's already used. Portal will probably come in from the other side on the Venom here.
Now it really comes down to how Vision Esport are going to try and counter this portal play. Immediate dive in, but not able to get any of the picks that they would want. Vertigo a little bit off position, and that might be enough for them to get something, but I'm loving this grouping up that we're seeing from RAD.
Okay, 30 seconds gone. Remember, this is still winnable for Vision. They got 91% off the back of that one successful fight that they had. But Badder going down is not the amazing start they'd hoped for. The charged greatsword has been drawn from its scabbard, and its slices shall carve chunks of flesh from Vision, as well as carve chunks of space out for RAD to try and occupy this point. Badder's already going to be coming back here with the portal from the back. It is going to create an off angle that needs to be dealt with. A Smash Nest is chased on down by Xerxia, but it's still the value in the back from Crazy Kitty. Finds Rex. QB as well. Lugia on the other side knows, hey, if you've got no healing, I'm more than happy to try and confiscate the HP from you. And it's just an absolute tour de force from Lugia Goat so far. A quick return through the portal does mean that Vision Esports have a moment of stability with 2 minutes 30 remaining.
Solid plays so far from Vision Esports to at least try and hold things down at the last hour against RAD Esports. Again, if they do drop this point here, they lose the series and will have to go the distance against the Fire Strays to try and make it into the playoffs. But Crazy Kitty going crazy.
Dude, Crazy Kitty is nasty. I think he went out of that fight with full HP as well after getting that hit. Rex falls at 99%! Oh, it's an absolute disaster. I can't believe my eyes, Vod. Everything's gone wrong. Unfortunately, Rex's ult was going to come later than Space starting a co-stream.
Oh, so unfortunate for Vision Esports, and I think at this point we can categorically say that this should not be their counter pick anymore, unfortunately for them. It just seems like, you know, RAD have been around the block as players in Marvel Rivals for such a long time. They remember when this used to be played in the map pool way back a year ago before it returned. And you can see exactly why. They know the strategies, they know the positionings, they know the rollouts like we saw in Lugia Go. Of course, the MVP in all intents and purposes. I mean, the triple we saw from them, and yes, they did give up some positioning on the point and didn't capture it off of one team fight. Didn't matter. They had so much time in the bank, so much to work with, and just the focusing of the backline for Vision Esports, they could not stay alive to save themselves. 6 KOs against Rex, and then 7 for QB. You cannot allow that to happen if you want any chance to use these ultimates in your favor and enable the rest of your team.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Lugia. That's why Bro got the movie in 2000. Let's bring in Lemon to see what she thought of Shin Shibuya. I think it's time to stop picking this map if you're Vision.
I think any team should maybe not pick this map, if I'm honest. It may be a Vision diff. It may just be a defense diff because it's so strong. It's an absolute fortress. But I want to talk about the Vanguards. We have talked about the birds enough. Let's talk about the accompanying bird of Ducky against Batter as these Vanguard secondaries. What do we think about the Magneto versus the Angela when it comes to accompanying the Venom bot?